And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. A little surprise here. My sidekick's in today. He's got football practice here in a little bit. He snuck in a little time for me. I guess I'm the one on the side here. I don't know. I'm probably behind Mandy and football, but that's okay. I'll take number 3. I'll take what I can get. I'm not picky. I just want to be something. That's it.
There's always time to stop by Times.
There's always time to stop by Times. That's exactly right.
That's right.
Happenings going on in the world, all kind of things. The NFL decided to appeal the Deshaun Watson ruling, and here's the thing, and I'll get your take on it, because here's where I'm at. I want to completely get off the guilt, innocence, what he did. Okay, let's remove that from the equation just for a second, and this is the thing that concerns me a little bit, and it's been the thing that's concerned me all along, in that Roger Goodell is judge, jury, executioner, and appellate court. He's everything. In the last contract, they hired somebody, a retired judge, Sue Robinson, to be the quote-unquote arbitrator that would analyze it from a legal perspective and make a ruling. Now, this was the thing that I thought was interesting. If she had come back and said no penalty, the NFL could not have appealed it, period. The contract language is, if there is a punishment handed down, the NFL can appeal it and adjust said punishment. If there had been no punishment handed down, the league could have done nothing. But the part that bothers me is they negotiated to have this done, and the first one that comes up, even though it's way out there, the first one that comes up, the league says, nah, we're not going to do that. Does that not set a bad precedent on the league side? And does that not show some bad faith a little bit?
This whole thing is crazy. I mean, they're trying to, within a company, within a league, within whatever it is that you do, there's two things that, are so hard to regulate or legislate.
Morality.
Number one is morality.
Yeah.
Number two is intent. What was the intent? Not of this. I'm just, just
correct. No.
Whatever.
No.
And it's like, it's kind of like, Judge Landis. Back when the Black Sox, White Sox, all that, he pretty much came in and gave the death penalty to the players. And, there was no appeal process. There was no anything. And, I know times are different, but that doesn't mean that circumstances and the standards that they should be held to are different. People, I say people, and a lot of times people feel like, times are different, so we need to excuse or accept this behavior. One thing that never changes with time is 100% truth, right versus, what's wrong. Okay? And, I was watching something the other, a couple of nights ago that was very appealing to me, and it was just talking about, I really don't want – anyway, it was just talking about different kind of forces in the world, and what it meant was, do you believe in doing the right thing or right reason for spiritual reasons, for your moral beliefs and values, or versus some people that don't believe in good or evil, they just say things happen. And I just thought that was very interesting. And in a world that is ever changing, in a situation like this, they hired somebody to do a job. That person recommended what was consistent with what the guidelines they held down, and now there's nothing wrong with appealing anything, okay? But at some point, you have to be told no and move on in your life, or yes.
I'm just wondering, I realized the league did not get the punishment that it wanted, okay? I still go back, and I'm still bothered that the league waited so long to even do anything. Why did this not happen last year?
Well, what punishment are they trying, like the league in itself? Like what?
It wants a year.
Right. So that's kind
And their last offer was 12 games, $10 million.
Yeah, well, okay, and you know what? The thing about it is, you can dive into as deep as any situation as you want to, but 24 people, 23 were settled.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of smoke there. Okay. The league's trying to say, hey, look, you may be this, that, or the other, but you still have to do it this way. But yet they'll let all this other stuff go on over here and do nothing or say nothing.
Let me give you something that I read. You were talking faith. Let me give you something I read. And this is kind of where I'm at on some of this stuff. There's a guy that I follow on TikTok, and he is a pastor, and he has such a different perspective of everything, because everything he talks about, he goes, show me in the Bible. Just show me in the Bible where you got that from. And one of the things he talked about, he said, we've all got it in our head that church is an hour, it's 4 songs, and it's on Sunday at 11 o'clock, okay? He said, nowhere will you find that in the Bible. Nowhere.
Right,
he said
right.
It says that believers should come together, okay, to encourage one another. But it never said it's an hour, it's on Sunday morning, anything. Man, that's a man-made law. One of the other things that he said, and 100%. This is the part, no, he didn't serve 16 games. He took last year off and made his money, Andrew. Richie, good morning. Good morning, Milton. Good morning, Stacy. Okay, here's the thing. One of the other comments he made, or I read it in one of my devotionals, there is no multiple degrees of sin. Any sin is a sin. Period. There's
right.
not one sin's not worse than, you know what I'm saying? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you go back and you look at this and you say, okay, here's the only guidelines that we've got. Here's the only things that have happened. What she did is in this, and I haven't read the whole report, but what she did is she went back and said, okay, all that I can find that is similar.
Yeah, that's
similar.
what I'm getting at.
This is what it is.
Yeah, based on the criteria she was given when she was given the job, and I say executed, you know what I mean, to the execution of the job, not, whatever. Mm-hmm. But, Laney, I just find it so interesting that things are adapted. Well, like, when somebody does something, they say, well, it's not that bad.
It's either right or wrong.
Everything is marginalized and not held to a standard. I heard Mike Tomlin, Juju had sent a thing to us the other day, and I was watching it and Tomlin, he's talking about Tomlinisms and all these things, but he's talking about the standard is the standard. Well, the problem is there's too much parity in the standard of whatever it is.
Morning, Stephen.
And the whole point is there's not what your favorite word is. There's no consistency.
Now, let me,
and I'm with you 100%.
When I talked to him just the first thing Monday, Wes accused me of playing the Clemson card. And I said, no, son, I'm not playing the Clemson card.
Did he come at you?
That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it.
Right.
I said, here's the thing. This is the whole thing to me, okay, is be consistent in what you do. And I don't think people would have the same view if they looked at the history of all the players in the league and the executives and maybe some things that have been accused and swept under the rug, those type things. That's the part that bothers me. There's different sets of standards depending upon who it is. Give you another example. The mess with the Dolphins, the tampering, the tanking, all the things that were done, accusations, and then the league comes out, okay, we're going to suspend the owner till here. We're going to fine him $1.5 million. We're going to take away a draft pick. Really? He messed with when you talk about the integrity of the league, that was the integrity of the league, okay? That's the integrity of the league. And I'm not saying what Deshaun Watson did was right. I'm not saying he gets a pass.
Right.
I'm just saying whatever you're going to use to measure and punish him with, do it and move on. Just do it and move on.
Well, I think a lot of times, too, is, because it is a business and an entertainment, in order to keep people engaged, you have to make sure you have a narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And one that sparks whatever kind of emotion, whether for or against.
You're just looking for a rise.
Yes. And so all great businesses, all great CEOs, all right, I've said this before, Bezos, Tim Cook with Apple, Steve Jobs, former President Donald Trump, CEO,
Mm-hmm.
All great CEOs are great entertainers. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they get their audience engaged, where the audience is for or against what
it's
they're
getting
doing.
a rise.
Tim Cook goes out there, in my opinion, and does all this stuff and shows about what Apple's doing next and this, just to get maybe Google and Samsung fired.
The whole
right?
thing with the NFL, they let this stuff leak to see which way they needed to go.
Right. So they're playing the fence, the narrative of the fence. Right. It's no different in politics, and the problem with that is that does not appeal to younger people that have thought that everything goes up and it never goes down. Mm-hmm. Like everything's always going to get better because, I'm watching it on TV and they say that they're going to take care of me, and that think we've seen the absolute worst economic conditions for our country over the last 40 years, over the last 9 months. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have a generation of, my point in all this is going back to the NFL. You have a generation of people that are younger that, since they have gotten into the world themselves, have done nothing but invest in things, basically throwing a dart and hitting
See what sticks on the wall.
And it goes straight up. And now what people are finding is that the focus always has to be on quality and value, not the cheapest thing. All right, or the thing that looks the coolest or the latest, greatest, coolest thing out there. The NFL, all right, has made several miscalculations the last 8 to 10 years, all right, and they've gotten too involved with politics and too involved with morality and intent, because they'll sit there and talk about these sets of people being this, all right, but yet half of their goods come from countries that do things that aren't. I say half.
The Live Tour. The Live Tour's a great example.
But you understand. I don't know the percentage. I'm just giving an example. But the NFL has to be very careful, just like NBA basketball. Do you realize there were 40 people, 40 at the A's game a week or so ago to watch Steph Curry and his wife throw the first pitch out, which both of them were terrible, throwing the pitch. 40 people in the whole stadium. Oakland A's.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you this. If that's not narrative, what do we see on SportsCenter all the time? He shoots a ball. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you got a guy that's supposed to be that popular, at least 10, 20,000 people are going to show up to watch him throw a pitch, right? They're the Golden State Warriors. 40. Okay? So what I encourage everybody to do is, while they're looking at this NFL stuff, is to start thinking for yourselves, okay? If you already
That's my whole narrative here.
Do it more, okay? And understand where value and quality meet, all right? And if you smell anything that doesn't smell right along the way, there's likely some stuff behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? My point is, things are going to have to get cleaned up. College football is going that way too.
Yes.
From all this stuff. Now, speaking of which, a feel-good story. Did you see Keith Henry was on Fox News?
I did.
And a couple mornings ago.
Somebody had
KJ.
made mention, and we mentioned
Yeah.
Sage Surratt getting picked up by the Chargers.
Yeah.
Local product.
Yeah. I hope that works out. And I think
too.
he's a guy at the very least that they will leave on the practice squad. I mean, if he doesn't, I hope he makes it. I'm just saying because he is a guy that can get picked up.
Yep.
Because he's just – Lanny, watching him grow up, and of course his brother was a tremendous athlete as well, but watching him grow up and watching him develop, I still believe, and I haven't seen him in about 2 years, any kind of film or thing, But I still believe he's got a ways to go to continue to, he can continue to get even better is what I'm saying. I think he's got some great upside.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. Let me catch a couple comments that came in. Morning, Stephen. Chad said he paid off 25 of the 26 accusers, but not guilty of any wrongdoing.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm passing judgment on. I'm passing judgment on how the NFL responds to whoever it is.
Yeah, I think Chad's talking about what they had, repeating what they had said on, that
where there's smoke, there's fire.
But what he's saying is, I think, I'm not speaking for him, but I think what he's saying is that regardless of what happened, Watson's not claiming guilt or innocence. He just kind of said, "Here it is, and let's make it go away."
Yeah, yep. No, yeah. Let's move along.
But even though we know there's a lot of smoke, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I just want them, and I've been on this too. You have a contract, you fulfill the contract. Okay, you sign a contract and you do better than you thought they did last year. I want out of that contract. I want a bigger one. Well, here's the deal. If you had sucked last year, you're not going to let them cut your contract. It's got to be a two-way street. It can't always be
That's right.
a benefit. So, I just think there's more to that. Let me take a quick break, and we come back. We got more crap to talk about.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you in this morning. I'll get off the Deshaun Watson train. So if my son's listening, he won't tell me I'm pulling the
Go Tigers.
I'm pulling the Clemson card.
Wes,
Chad
I
said,
love you,
"Amen."
man.
Using his money to get it over with. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I don't
he
know if it
was.
was Andrew or Juju. He got $15 million of his signing bonus, and then 3 more people were settled like the next day or something. I don't know. And if is it over? Does somebody else come out from the woodwork again? I don't know. I just want to put it behind us. I don't like all that drama. Has nothing to do with football. I do want to make one comment about training camp starting, and I say this all the time, and nobody believes me or listens to me. You're already seeing a ton of players just in the first couple days go down with soft tissue injuries.
You got to count.
They don't. I mean, every year it's the same thing. Either that or they had some hidden stuff that nobody talked about, okay? And I go back and I say this all the time, and I know that the NFL is an elite league. I get that. And when you're talking about I'm just going to use round numbers here. So you've got 50 players on a roster. I know it's 52, 53, whatever in practice squad. And I'm just going to say 50. You've got 32 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 1,600 players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I'm sorry if somebody thinks I'm crazy when I say this. I'm not convinced that there's only 1,600 players that's played this game that can compete at that level, because I think what they use is their quote-unquote guidelines of attributes and specifications.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kids out there that can play, but they don't get the opportunity because they didn't fit this mold. I'll give an example. I use him all the time. Matt Eisenhower. He didn't go to a Power 5 because he wasn't but 6'2".
No, that's a
3-time All-American.
I mean, come on.
3 national championships. He's already in the Hall of Fame at Appalachian. But yet I met with Mike O'Kane, who was recruiting a kid that I had at Highland, and I talked to him about Matt, and he said, "Coach, he's just not quite tall enough." I said, "You're missing it. You're missing it." And I'll go back. I'll give you another example. A teammate of mine, okay, that didn't fit those attributes, Jeff Bostic, center for the Redskins, 11, 12, 13 years, member of the Hogs, successful, Super Bowl. I mean, you can't do that. And I say all that because we were just talking off the air about the Steelers. And you've got the Steelers with Mitch Trubisky, who's having a terrible preseason from everything that I'm hearing from the talking heads. And it looks like Kenny Pickett in his tiny hands may become the starting quarterback. One of the negatives about Kenny Pickett was his hands, and I'm guessing they measure from here to here.
Oh, it measure. Look, here.
I mean
it's a complete,
it didn't fit the quote-unquote mold, okay? And then you've got some other quarterbacks that are succeeding that don't fit that. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, that are small in stature. And I'll say it a million times. The NFL missed out on one of the greatest quarterbacks that could have played in the league. Do you know who I'm talking about? Doug Flutie. Because they said he wasn't tall enough. the things he accomplished in the Canadian Football League, and then when he finally got an opportunity to play here, but it was later on in his career, it's because he's too short. He can't play the position. He's too short. And you can't measure heart and desire if you have the skills. It's not always about those pure measurables. Now, if you think I'm wrong, I'm open to discussion, but I just think that some of the, and you say it all the time, general managers, scouts, they check the boxes that will help them keep their job. Because if they check all the boxes and the player's a bust, it's not going to cost them their job. If they make a reach, what's considered a reach outside the measurables, and that player's a bust, it could cost them their job. If that player's not a bust and they take a risk, you don't hear anything about it. It goes back to the thing I say all the time. You do a good job, one or two people will tell somebody. You do a bad job, they tell everybody they know. I think the NFL is the same way. Nobody's going to tell me that all these Power 5 programs that we have, and not even counting Power 5 programs. Look at help me. New England Patriots played at Lenoir-Rhyne. I can see him, but I can't call his name. Anyway.
Who? Kyle?
Duggar.
Yeah,
Duggar.
Yeah.
There's an example. There's a prime example. He didn't play at a Power 5.
Okay, so what did Belichick do? He found quality in the value of what the player brought.
That's correct. Okay?
And so it's, again, we talk about it all the time, style versus substance. Athleticism is style. If it could be harnessed with substance on a consistent basis, that's a great thing. I tell our guys every day, go as hard as you can during your county fair drills. All your drills here, even in team, go as hard as you can. Make yourself as tired as you can so you can get your body into shape. Bounce around a little bit, hit the ground some, callus up. Mm-hmm. All right, these things help prevent soft tissue injury, all right, and allow you to go long-term through a long and rigorous season. Mm-hmm. Think about Matt, okay? There's no doubt we all know how great Matt, he is a great guy, great, but how great he was. And people want to talk about, this height and that height. Every Saturday when I turn on college football, and had this verified by a defensive coordinator from a Division I ACC school about a month ago, 2 months ago, I'm sorry. Every Saturday, not every team, but every Saturday, multiple teams, whether it be ACC, Big Ten, SEC, have a center or a tight end that is 6'1", 6'2", and 290, 330, whatever, okay? Every one of them. Why would you sacrifice somebody like that and say, he's just not tall enough, when there are multiple things that you could do with the strength that he had, the weight that he had, the strength and weight that he was going to put on while he was rebuilding his body as he was growing into his man body. We're talking about this being a young man and being as good as he was, okay? Mm-hmm. So what he was able to do is take that chip on his shoulder and basically turn keep App turn into a national champion. And then a year later, even after he had graduated, his best friend John Holt, who had the same stigma put on him, okay, who I coached at Irwin. I coached Matt at Maiden and then John Holt at Irwin, okay, Irwin High School in Asheville. Best friends, played side by side together a year apart. That was what took that team to the next level to go up and beat a team like Michigan. Mm-hmm. People can say Michigan overlooked them all they want, or it was just App coming in, a smaller school. You could tell by the beginning of the second quarter that Michigan was getting worried, and they started playing really hard, and they still had no answer, okay? Lack of preparation, lack of mental discipline. But at the same time, what happened was Appalachian had kids to the far right, bottom right of the chart, which were high in dependability, and up the chart as well in athleticism. They were just undervalued because of their size or because they didn't have the look. Okay, bad body guy, hear that crap all the time. Then they go beat the Big Ten team. Okay. You mentioned something about the NFL. The first words or the first sentence you mentioned something about elite and 1,600. It's an elite league. Anytime you make something elite, all right, or stigmatize it that way, or even just declare, not you, I'm talking third person, declare it that way, then there are forces that are going to be working against those people that don't have the look because of elitism. You know, it's kind of like sitting around twirling your brandy and saying, oh, I can't stand what that person says. No matter if they go out and do this, that, all great things. I don't like the way they go about doing it. And they sip their brandy and wine and smoke their cigar. Okay? It's elitism. That's why the NFL only has 53 players, because they know if they opened it up to 75 on a team, that a lot of those 53 that they think are great.
That's correct.
Wouldn't make it.
That's correct.
Because you have your Danny Woodheads, or whatever his name was, that played for New England for years. You know, you have these real rock solid, hard players that are undersized, supposedly undermanned. All right, Chris Hogan, who's was a wideout for New England. You know, he was a lacrosse player. Belichick brings him in because he's a great athlete. NFL doesn't want that because it takes away from the elitism, and they spin it, just like in politics, the other way and say, well, we're working for you. Let me tell you something. Anybody says they're working on your behalf, they want something in return for it, and that's what it is. They're protecting each other and their assets.
Let me give you two things and get your opinion. And I know you got to go here in a few minutes, but let me ask you your opinion. When I was coaching, and, of course, I was always concentrating on my fat boys, okay, because that's where my level of expertise lie. The two things that I thought were the biggest or the number one attribute that I wanted in those linemen, okay, and I don't think you see it on anybody's chart. I didn't look at height and weight and those type things. When I was looking for offensive linemen, do you know what I looked for more than anything? Feet and being able to play over your hips.
Oh, yeah, get your head across. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
got you.
because
I got you.
That's the key to a fat boy. You got to have feet. You got to be able to move. You can't get them tangled up, and you got to be playing over a solid center of balance so that you don't get pulled and shoved. That's on the offensive side. Now, on the defensive side, the first thing that I look for in a defensive lineman was first step, because that was the key. You don't know the count, so you've got to have a quick step to make up for what you don't know that you're giving off to the offensive lineman.
I couldn't agree more.
I look at those things, and then I start looking at things like, what do they do with their hands? How do they play with their hands? Those are the things that I look at, not, okay, he's 250 pounds. Well, if he can't freaking move, it don't matter.
If he can't think on his feet.
I mean, you know, those are the things, to me, that you've got to look at.
Well, I mean, think about it today in baseball. It's all about being able to throw 95 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, and hit the ball 800 feet. Well, you can do measurables in both. But throwing and pitching are two different things.
Yes.
And what they're hoping is they can turn that thrower into a pitcher. The problem is people that have the mindset of getting to a certain point very quickly don't understand why it takes time to get to the next point. Okay? That's why the philosophy, to me, is bass-ackwards. Can I say that on bass?
Yes, you can.
On
you can say anything you want to.
Well, I'm not going to do it. But that's why the philosophy to me long term is backwards. Of course kids want to throw harder, but at what expense? I mean, I see things all the time on Facebook about, this, arm coach and that arm coach thing. This kid gained 7 miles an hour in 6 months. Let me tell you something. More than likely, body can't sustain that. 10 miles an hour unless they grow and train into that. Training is not just getting out there and throwing as hard as you can, and that's what I see a lot with this. Training is not just getting out there and dropping your backside and seeing how far you can hit it in the air and how that's great, but these things are not measurable long term for the success of the game. And somebody in Major League Baseball, I want to say it's the players union, one of the player union reps or vice president or whatever, was saying that travel ball wasn't doing this and it was just an expense and all these things. Well, that's like calling the pot calling the kettle black. Okay, you got somebody that's sitting up here that's got all these great players that they represent or in charge of. Okay, but yet they want to dictate down to the minions what they should and shouldn't be doing. First of all, we used to rely on public schools to have sports teams, all right, that could help get kids to the next level. Today, that's not the case. Very few high schools. Very few invest in their kids, all right, in the off season, invest in the quality of care those kind of things. Kids have to go outside now to do that, okay? I mean, we have local I'm not going to get my blood boiling. We have people that still do not understand that it's not about what's in the building as much as it is the growth and development of the individual child/young person with the holistic experience, okay? We're still in the educational process of teaching kids in the industrial age, and we're basically having workers, okay, instead of getting people prepared for the world that we live in, which is the information age.
Right.
Okay. My point to all this is we're in the information age with our sports and the many like everybody says, well, not everybody can be a professional athlete. No, but they can work in a professional setting, okay? So if they're an athlete at a certain part and they work really hard but yet they max out and they can't get any better, then they're going to make contacts and have relationships with people in these offices here and stay involved in that sport or in that league or whatever for a long time. There's way too much marginalization going on, for people to say, well, not everybody's going to make it as a pro athlete. No, but you got to have GMs, you got to have presidents, you got to have players union reps. Yeah, we really got to do a better job.
The thing that people do not understand is if you go through that process, you've got your goal up here, and you go through that process, and you don't get to that, there's a lot of opportunities that you have been prepared for that you can stay inside of what you want to do.
The opportunities lie within the process.
Yes, that's right.
That's why process is so important than just reacting to it. That's why I can't stand. And I've heard it for 35 years. Well, your best athletes need to be on the field. No, your most prepared players need to be on the field so they can help, make a sustainable, long-term, consistent play for the rest of the team so you can have a long season. It's not, well, that kid runs the ball really well. We're just going to give it to him and ride that horse. Okay, first of all, that's self-serving. All right, get out of what you're doing. All right, go do something else. All right, number two, you're doing that kid no favors because basically you're saying we can't win without you. He or she may think that, and then all of a sudden the kids around are like, so-and-so goes down, we're done. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Watch the movie 300.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of my
figure it out.
One of my faves, yeah.
Figure it out.
The other thing that people don't understand, and I say this all the time too, I'm not a believer in breaks. I think you make your own breaks based on how you have treated and how you have had relationships and dealt with people as you go through your career.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that come back to you because of the things that you've done on your way through your career. And I think it's the same thing in athletics. It's based on the relationships. It's based on how you viewed the process of developing yourself. All of that works together. We need to have a much wider spectrum and view of how all these things come together and work instead of this tunnel of trying to get to this one point. You need to absorb it all because all of that, even if you get there, you need all of that to get to the top. And if you can't get to the top, all this stuff that you've learned on your way is going to benefit you for the rest of your life. And that's where people kind of miss it.
Well, Lanny, too, and I'll leave it at this. People a lot of times say, well, I want to do this with my life. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being focused and determined on what you want to do. But first of all, before you say that's what I'm going to do, try to find your purpose here. Okay, and you can't find it in your time. You have to find that in God's time. I was standing in the batter's box, Hildebrand junior high, 8th grade, had a 1-2 count on me, and I called timeout. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I said, holy cow, I think I want to go into something where I can maybe help people. Well, I'm going to be a teacher and a coach. Well, that's what I set my mind on, okay? But what God was really telling me was you're going to be, your purpose on this earth is to help other people, help people. It wasn't necessarily to be a teacher or coach.
Right.
It was to help people.
It was the
Now-
larger view.
Now, I'm very fortunate that I believe that is my purpose on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my intent is to always help, never to harm. Okay, that's my intent. So many people don't know their purpose, and I have someone I'm very close to that for years could not figure out what he or she wanted to do. What am I supposed to do? And one day realized I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that person became at peace with that and has been the happiest person since that revelation.
Happiness only comes from inside. Andrew, you're right. You reap what you sow. And Michael White, that may be a T-shirt right there. Luck is
Boom,
when
baby.
preparation meets opportunity.
My guy, Michael
there
White.
You go.
My guy.
Yep.
Oh, that's my guy.
Milton said everybody can't be a professional football player, but they can be a professional in whatever they do.
Hey, you know what? That's a great point, Milton. I try to raise my kids, and I've heard this, and Michael White's father, for any of those that don't like the reason the Rembrandts are here, you can blame Charlie White because he hired my dad like 40 years ago. So it's Charlie's fault. Sorry, Michael. But the point being, I always tell my kids, and then even the players, in the locker room, like I see kids, just all the guys, be your best you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you become a professional athlete or professional whatever, be a professional person. Let's raise ourselves to that bar. And we're gonna make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna say things we didn't mean to. We may post things, but let's make them mistakes and not habits, right? And let's keep moving forward and try to be be your best you every day.
And when you make that mistake, learn from it. Don't blame somebody else. Learn from it and grow.
And that's why I don't have to have a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Because be your best you.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something you think I might not like it, you probably ought not to be doing it. That doesn't mean that. Therefore, I don't have to go out with 25 rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? Think about it, and that's kind of the way me and the guys are, and my kids, the players, that kind of
I'm
thing.
getting a ton of T-shirts here.
They respond well to it.
Chad says today's decisions are tomorrow's realities.
Oh man, I tell you what. All right, submit your T-shirt.
Hey, you'll see those at a Tiger Man Tea store near you today. And Richie, I'll go on out on this one from my favorite movie. If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come.
Great movie. Have a great day. Have a great practice, bud.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Juju be back in the house. Have a good one.